Hi, this is Dave, and before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars.
Hello there, this is Elora, and I'm a prequel trilogy kid.
And this is Dave, and I'm an original trilogy kid. And you're listening to What Does Star Wars Mean to You? The show where we talk to all kinds of fans of the franchise, from industry insiders to indie artists, from obsessive mythologists to mega collectors, all for one goal, to take the hate out of the debate by focusing on one fan at a time to find out, what does Star Wars mean to you? Of course, it's also just fun to chat Star Wars.
We do it every week.
We do it every week. So if you're liking the show, please subscribe, and if you really want to help, give us a 5-star review. It really helps the show, beat the algorithm.
And yeah, get seen. Also, Dave and I are intrinsically insecure. Give us some love. No.
It's so true. And if you want to join us on social, you can do so at Star Wars Mean to You. That's at Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. So like and follow us there, and then our egos will be somewhat sated.
Just a little. No, we'll love having you there. For those listening, I am getting over a pretty bad head cold, so do not hold anything I say tonight against me. I'm on quite a lot of Sudafed, which I learned they crush up and put in meth. So. Oh
yeah. Did you really not know that?
No, I did, but I kind of forgot until I got sick.
Until your 6th one.
Well, and then, you do
you
feel a little bit high when
you're itching your arm and going, oh man, I could use a hit. I wish I had a bigger cold.
No, I totally knew that, but it was more of a reminder. It makes you feel crazy.
Yeah.
But it does work.
That's the best part of it, though.
Yeah, it works.
Last week, we talked to Brown Leader from the podcast Hyperspace Heroes, and one of the questions we like to ask is, what do you want to see in the future of Star Wars? And I thought he had a great answer, and we'll just play that clip right now.
I don't mind them trying new things, new formats. Try it.
Yeah.
It's a big galaxy. But I also want to see them shoot into another corner of the galaxy that has nothing to do with anything we know, just for a different story.
So this week, to see how Star Wars is coming along with the future of Star Wars, we wanted to take a look back at its past. More specifically, it's a forced transition maybe, but we'll make it make sense, because to see if Star Wars is on track to explore new things, let's see if they've done that this year with their TV shows. So we're going to take a look back at 2024 of Star Wars television with a little look to the future at the end.
Yeah, this should be fun. We're going to do this in 3 categories.
Ooh, I like a breakdown.
2024 animation, live action, and then we'll kind of do our last segment is looking ahead into the future. And spoiler alert, that is Skeleton Crew.
It's the one TV show from 2024 that has not premiered yet.
Hasn't dropped.
So let's start with animation, I guess. So this year...
Oh no, I was gonna say this is exciting because I was new to animation this year. I had not.
Right, I hadn't dove that.
Yeah, I hadn't dove into any of the Star Wars animation prior to this year, so I got caught up with Clone Wars and Rebels and Bad Batch, and today, in preparation for this episode, I binged the Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, which was a delight.
Yes,
but we'll get there.
Here's the thing I'm going to say right now, and I kind of always talk about it. Lego Star Wars, Rebuild the Galaxy, probably the best original Star Wars television of 2024, in my opinion.
It was really cute. It was very cute. Anyway, we will get there.
But in animation this year, we had Bad Batch, Season 3, Tales of the Empire, Star Wars Young Jedi Adventure, Season 2, And quite frankly, if you're looking into any kind of dive into Young Jedi Adventures, this is the wrong place. We probably will not even talk about it. But we love Nubs, but I didn't watch the show.
I didn't either. I haven't ventured there yet. I haven't. Yeah. It hasn't. I have not turned it on.
And of course, we were already talked a little bit about it. Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. Now, we did come up with a couple of questions to kind of wrap this conversation around. Yeah. Do you think I should just go through all the questions and then we can open up the floor for discussion?
Probably, because I have a feeling we will venture far off course. And so
yes,
good to let people know where our minds were when we took notes
when we started.
Yes.
We'll be like, here's the map. It's not where we're at, but here's the map.
That's what we intended. Yeah.
We wanted to look at how it expands on the overall Star Wars universe. Mm-hmm. How does it handle the themes of good versus evil or moral complexity? Mm-hmm. What is the most Star Wars moment from each? Yeah. What character from the show do we want as a Star Wars action figure? And the impact that it had on us.
Which we're calling Skip It or Force It.
Exactly. Which is like, how do we get a Star Wars pun in there? We force it.
The Bad Batch.
Okay, so Bad Batch. Bad Batch, we had season 3. It's the final season of Bad Batch. It wrapped up the story of Hunter, Omega, Echo, Wrecker, kind of Tech. Tech died in season 2, so spoiler alert. And so as far as 2024, how does it expand on the overall Star Wars universe? I felt as though this was kind of the true end of the clone story. Mm-hmm. Because at the very end of the Bad Batch, and again, there's going to be spoilers left and right here, so...
Yeah, if you haven't watched anything, turn this off and come back.
Yeah. So they really handed the baton off from Clone Wars to the Rebel Alliance as Omega
totally
jumps into the ship and is like, hey, the rebellion needs pilots and I'm a great pilot and this is my war now. Yeah. You guys get to rest. And so I really think that, I don't know if that's an expansion, but it is such a key moment, I feel like, that this is the true handoff between Clone Wars and the era of the Rebels, or the Empire era.
1,000%. I don't think that the last season did need to do much expanding because it was wrapping up their story, and that was the intent. I mean, the Bad Batch as a show totally expanded the Star Wars universe in terms of like the aftermath of the Clone Wars and the transition, from the Republic to the Empire and all of that. But I love that final scene. I think we talked about it on the show before, but I love that final scene where Omega kind of like goes off into the moonlight because the sunset was already set.
Yes.
And it leaves open like all these possibilities for her future, and the rest of them get to be done. They had their time, they did their part, and I love the finality in that, like finality.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think so because it is, again, it wraps up their story in a really, like with a bow, literally with a bow.
Which you don't often get in Star Wars.
No, you don't.
There's not often that many happy endings, and like for characters, and like and in terms of just you're not left there with any ambiguity. Like it all just feels really, you just feel really good at the end of it.
Yeah. It's a sweet, sweet ending. And the other thing I really liked about that last episode, there's a scene near the end where Echo and Hunter kind of nod at each other. Mm-hmm. And I think the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, they're doing the manly nod at each other and they're going to go their separate ways. Mm-hmm. But after we did introducing the Bad Batch episode, where we rewatched the first 4 episodes from the Clone Wars, that episode was all about saving Echo. So there was this real nice arc there between the two, and how they had started out kind of like on separate pages and kind of grown to respect and like each other.
I love that. Yeah. And then there you go. And so that there was your expansion. It was more character based than it was universe based. Yeah.
Which I always think is even better.
Because
I feel like I've gotten to the place in Star Wars where the lore can kind of be anything, but I want that feeling of hope, found family, strong characters. I just really want that the most That and pew, 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 pew. TIE fighter sounds.
Well, what was your most Star Wars moment from season 3?
Oh, from season 3. You know, I don't know. It's really hard because, like, what is a Star Wars moment? I feel like the one that stands out to me, and also I want to say, you know, I feel like a lackluster podcast host right now because I didn't go back and rewatch everything. I just kind of refamiliarized myself with everything. Yeah. But there's a moment that stands out to me that, and I didn't go back and watch this, is when she's in the prison, and it's like episode 9 or 10. It's near the end. It's before the last episode. It may be the second to last episode. And she's like, no, we need to come up with a plan. We need to do something. The way she rallies the group of kids together who are also prisoners and come up with a plan, that to me was a very Star Warsian moment. Like,
totally.
Like this young woman taking charge, finding the strengths in everyone around her, making them comfortable, and being a hero. I feel like that was a great Star Wars moment.
Totally. I mean, not to have it all focused on Omega, but mine's pretty similar, and it's that last sequence, which I know we've just kind of already discussed, but there's something so traditionally Star Wars of the mentor watching the mentee go off and like continue the story and in their own way. And
that's so true.
So that was the most Star Warsy moment for me.
I also liked how she rescued the big dog animal, like dinosaur dog animal, and he became her best friend. That's just fun. That's honestly fun.
I mean, there's so many.
Yes.
What would you want for an action figure? Or do you have an action figure from the Bad Batch?
I would. Here's the thing. For me, and this is just me. I don't even know if I want to say this. But I really love the Bad Batch. I was never a huge fan of their armor design.
Oh, fair.
Because I always felt it felt a little Warhammer 2020 or whatever. It felt a little Warhammery. Sure. And it felt Star Wars adjacent more than Star Wars center to me.
Yeah.
I feel like if I were to have them, I'd want them all.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that Hunter would probably be a really interesting action figure to add to the collection. I think his distinctive tattoos and all his tactical gear would be kind of fun. I mean, I could also see, like, his character would also warrant a lot of, like, accessories due to, like, all of his various different kind of, like, action sequences and stuff. I mean, but that's true of all of them, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
Is this a skip it or force it for you?
Oh, force it, for sure.
Yes, of course.
100%.
I can say the same. I was definitely reluctant to get into the animation, but I'm so glad that I got to know those characters and dive into that expanded part of the universe, and I will totally rewatch The Bad Batch at some point. Yeah.
Let's talk about Tales of the Empire, because it's kind of like the next evolution in the animation style. Because Tales of the Empire, of course, tells the story of Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee. Mm-hmm. It takes place during the Imperial era, and it's kind of the tale of like how Morgan and Barriss went from younglings into the world of the Empire.
Right.
And this one, for me, again, this is one of those ones. I'll just jump to the last thing, skip it or force it. Look, I'm not going to say skip it to anything, actually, because this animation is so spectacular.
It was really good. Yeah.
Beautiful animation. I just was not as hooked into the story. I think both of those characters are not as fleshed out yet, or as kind of like Tales of the Jedi had Dooku and Ahsoka. And that was very, like, both characters I knew very well, but this told me new things about them.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite as excited about Barriss or Morgan Elsbeth. It just wasn't, and I want to rewatch it again now that it's been a couple months.
Yeah.
And take a look, because it's not long. It's like 6 17-minute episodes. So
yeah, they're short.
it's a nice it's a great length.
Basically a movie.
Yeah, it's basically a movie.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way. It's not standing out in my memory crazy strong. That's not a great way of phrasing that. But outside of the animation, I mean, I think that in terms of like expanding the Star Wars universe, it was kind of cool to see stories of like ordinary beings kind of like navigating the oppression of the Empire. I don't have as much to say here as I did for Bad Batch or for Lego, simply because I did watch it so long ago, and
yes.
I'm with you. The characters didn't necessarily like grip me as much.
But let's talk about Lego Star Wars: Rebuild the Galaxy.
I'm so excited to talk about Lego Star Wars. This was so fun.
Here's the thing. I do love Lego Star Wars. I will say over and over again, I've been trying to write a kind of essay post about why people should, why fans of Star Wars should be rallying around Lego Star Wars. I think they have some of the best characterizations of characters we know already, like Rey, Kylo Ren, Luke Skywalker, whether he's old or young, Han Solo, the droids. They're just able to have everyone in there, so it kind of like is almost a buffet of enjoyment.
Oh yeah.
And then I think they have really great basic, simple Star Wars stories. And I think Lego Star Wars did this, or Rebuild the Galaxy did this in such a great way, because right away you're introduced to two brothers. And it's like, okay, this is going to be a movie about family.
Right.
Again, how do you get more Star Wars than that?
You don't. Yeah.
And the fact that it is the Dev, the older brother, versus Sig, the younger brother, and one of them's good and one of them eventually becomes evil, is so fantastic.
The Dev Destroyer, I was rolling.
Yes, Devastator.
The Devastator, sorry. Yes, the Devastator, not the Destroyer.
He's like, I'm Darth
Devastator.
Devastator. Oh, so great. And
so
many, what I also like about Lego Star Wars, it takes the piss out of Star Wars, like, in a literal sense of the way of, like, poking fun of it. It's like, saying, hey, these are the things that are silly and goofy, but also with a certain reverence that's amazing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to go back to, like, our original premise questions, like, as I formulate my thoughts here. In terms of, like, expanding the Star Wars universe, I mean, it's kind of its own Star Wars universe.
Yes, yeah.
Like, Star Wars always has been.
Broke.
Yeah, exactly. But like Lego Star Wars always kind of has been in its own universe of Star Wars, including the games, like all of it. It's always kind of had its own, like exactly like you said, tongue-in-cheek kind of approach to the story. But I actually like I found myself like sitting there and feeling like kind of uncomfortable at one point with this idea that like there was a temple in their universe that like everything we knew could be undone by simply taking the stone. That was like, you know, I'm watching like, you know, animated Lego Star Wars and I'm sitting on the couch like having a real like existential crisis of like of like trying to imagine a universe where like all of Star Wars comes undone and everything is different and there's, you know, an evil Jar Jar Binks and Rey is, you know, like it's just like,
Darth Rey
and like Darth Maul is like suddenly like an advocate and like a resource for them. An ally is the word I'm circling around.
He's like this suave, he's almost like a Lando Calrissian. You know, if there was a character that was 6 feet, blue eyes, trust fund, it was this Maul.
And I just like in terms of like handling themes of like moral complexity or good and evil. I mean, it's Lego Star Wars, so it's definitely geared towards like a younger audience, but like it definitely keeps that Star Wars thread of like. And so it's going to be like more whimsical, but like it keeps that Star Wars thread of friendship and teamwork overcoming any challenge. And quite literally rebuilding the galaxy. It was so cute. It was cute. Yeah.
And I loved the Ewoks and Y-Wings with the Ewok glider wing extensions.
So funny. Everything about it. Like, and honestly, I need to go back and rewatch because I'm sure there were other like inside jokes and Easter eggs and things that like I completely missed. What was your most quintessential Star Wars moment?
I think it comes down to the fight between Dev and Sig at the end.
I would agree with that.
I think that's what it is. Like, one wanting absolute power and the other kind of wanting to bring him back into the fold.
I would also say the dialogue. It was kind of all of the comedic relief in any Star Wars film, but just like constant. Just like every turn, there was something that was a joke. There were things that I liked that Jedi Bob wasn't a great Jedi. And he was pretty bad.
Jedi Bob is like the Jedi I would be. No. It was also another big Star Wars component. It was the classic hero's journey. It was the reluctant hero who just wanted to be like a farmer who was forced into this quest and kind of learns more about himself.
Yeah. It was also really fun trying to identify the voices.
Yes.
Like, it was such a good cast. I mean, obviously, Mark Hamill came back as Luke Skywalker. That was like, couldn't miss that. That was awesome. So fun. But
I love when he was like, so let me get this straight.
Yeah.
In your universe,
like drunk at the bar, like, I'm good.
yeah, exactly. He's like, in your universe, I get old and lonely and die by using the Force too hard? No, thank you.
Why would I want to do that? Yeah. It was so funny. And I'm a big Stranger Things fan, so having Gaten Matarazzo like back on the screen in any form was really fun. I thought he was a great Sig. He just brought something to that role. It was like watching the episode where they sing the greatest story.
Yeah, never-ending story.
The never-ending story. Again, it was just it was a real treat. It's definitely a force it, definitely on the rewatch list, and highly recommend for all ages. It was too good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other funny thing, there's so many like small throwaway jokes like Mos Eisley Marina Cantina. It's just so funny. It's just such a funny name. And the other thing, I think, because at the very end, again, spoiler alerts, at the very end, they reveal, what was it? Lando Lorian. The Landolorian.
The Landolorian with an evil Grogu.
Yes, with evil Grogu. And I just, watching the whole thing, I was like, oh, this is a trilogy of, like, let's just call it a movie. Because it's 4 episodes, but it's an hour and 22 minutes.
I think they did that so, like, parents could be like, okay, we watched one, time to go to bed, you can finish it tomorrow, kind of.
Although if anyone's doing a fan edit where they just combine it all so it's one long movie, I'm in for it.
All about that.
But I think there's a trilogy in this. Because they don't fully resolve everything. It's a win.
No, they don't.
At the end, like Star Wars, but it's not fully resolved, which I found just shocking, actually, a little bit. I was like, oh, we're just staying here. Okay.
I did too.
I hope so. Okay, let's move into live action. In 2024, we only had one live action show for Star Wars, and that was the Acolyte.
And boy, was it controversial on Twitter.
Yeah. Turned some heads.
You either liked it or you really didn't.
Yeah.
It was at least the fan reaction I felt like online. But I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I just think that's interesting. Either you liked it or you really didn't. I do think there was a contingent of fans who were like, I like what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'm not, and I think I'm one of those that I really liked the pitch of it. I wasn't a huge fan of the execution of it.
That's fair. I mean, I would agree. I mean, like, so we're going to tread lightly here because this is such a contentious topic. And we're all about taking the hate
Elora and
out
I
of
get in fights about it all the time.
But like, we're all about taking the hate out of the debate.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
And so I don't want to pile on because there were a lot of things about the Acolyte I did like. And I have to say, I was actually quite disappointed that it was canceled because I was very excited for what they were setting up for season 2.
Yep.
I mean, in terms of like the overall Star Wars universe, this is what we've been wanting. We've been wanting a show that was, free of the Skywalker saga, that, was new. I mean, these were the kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the final days of the High Republic era, essentially, right? Kind of like on the rise of the Sith. I haven't read the High Republic yet. Don't shoot me, anyone. I'm getting there. And so I liked that it really, I loved what they were trying to do. They were trying to dive into the Jedi politics at the time. They were introducing all these really neat new characters.
Cool lore.
Yeah, really cool lore. Matt Friedman, who we love, he's been on our podcast before and does the readings, and I can't take credit for this thought, because he wrote this at one point in one of his newsletters, and that was that this story was totally free of so much, and that includes the Skywalker saga. It was free of having to prove that Star Wars was good for TV. It was it didn't need to we already got that with Mando. It didn't need to be a story that was so intimately connected to that kind of more canon Star Wars. I mean, it did in a lot of ways, obviously, but there was so much more freedom, and I feel like that's what we've been wanting. And so for folks to have jumped on it so quickly, and to have not given it a chance before it even played out completely, that was disheartening to watch.
Yeah, that was the most frustrating thing for me, because it's episode 2, this show sucks, and it's we're only on episode 2.
We don't know that.
No way to know.
Yeah. I was really intrigued. These are the things I liked about it. I was really intrigued by the Force dyad and the kind of rule of two thing. And I have been ever since Rise with Kylo and Rey. I would have loved to have seen that really explored in season 2. Because they only kind of touched on it in season 1, in my opinion.
Yes.
But
yeah. I agree.
I wish we were getting a season 2 so we could explore that phenomenon. And then I oh my God, I cared way more and was way more interested in whatever the fuck happened between Quamir and Vernestra.
Yes.
Once that came out, then I was even Osha and May's journey throughout the show. Once that came out, I was oh, that's the story I really wanted. And it wasn't because I didn't care about Osha and May as characters, and clearly I tuned in every week. I wanted to know how the story progressed. There was so much to like about that show. For me, they didn't get me to care really deeply about Osha or May as characters. But I was also really fascinated with the whole witches coven and the Force using there, and I feel like there were so many threads there that didn't get wrapped up either. And that's where I'm I feel like maybe some of the criticism is in the feeling of so many unanswered questions, but that was going to be the point of the story continuing too. And so it's you're biting the hand that's feeding you, and then you're not getting the resolution that you're craving.
Well, it's really interesting, because just coming off talking about Lego Rebuild the Galaxy, and saying how it feels like there's a trilogy there.
Yeah.
And then A New Hope, where it feels wrapped up, but not completely wrapped up. Mm-hmm. I feel as though Acolyte suffered a little bit what I feel like The Force Awakens suffers from, which is throwing too many questions at you.
Oh, that's
as opposed to just giving you a story. Mm-hmm. It was more hey, here's something we could set up or throw away. We don't know yet. Here's something we could set up and resolve or throw away. We don't know yet. Mm-hmm. It's just no, give me the stuff that you're going to resolve, and have a little bit of that oh, where could it go?
Yeah.
One of the things after a couple months in thinking about it, one of the things I come back to is I think the marketing prior to the show did it no favors, because the marketing was, this is a mystery. Someone's killing Jedis. Who is it? Why are they killing the Jedis? And you're well, I find out in episode 1. So that's not they built an anticipation for a certain kind of story. And then you get there and they're no, that's not the story we have. This is the story we have.
We're going to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I find that can be off-putting.
No, I agree with that. I think you've probably hit the nail right on the head. I think there was some pacing stuff that folks had challenges with. There was a few episodes where I was on the edge of my seat waiting for something to happen, and then was oh, I guess I have to wait another week. Okay. But I think you're right. I think we went in expecting one thing, and then we're trying to figure out what it was as it was happening with that other expectation still kind of looming.
Yes.
Versus going in completely blind. I do wonder what the reaction would have been if we had no context whatsoever, other than just maybe a bloody lightsaber streak.
The Sith reveal themselves or whatever it is.
Something like that, yeah. But to speak more positively as well, like, I mean, God, the cinematography
It was
insane.
great.
Insane. We met characters that I am so intrigued by, and I want their origin stories so bad.
Yes,
Like Quamir, I have said this on this pod before. Quamir is one of the most interesting Star Wars characters ever written.
Yeah,
just flat out.
Agree.
It's like
so
the
best
intriguing.
of Kylo Ren boiled down into a slightly different character.
So intriguing.
Here's my I guess
yes, please. I just ranted at you for like 5 minutes.
No.
Share all your thoughts.
Kind of guilty thoughts about Acolyte. One of the things, when it began, I hated Yord. Just hated him.
Oh no.
And then by episode 3, I was like, oh, he's just like this Jedi who's like by the book and young, possibly a little naive, but he's also very proud of being a Jedi, yet he wants to be humble as a Jedi. So it was I realized he was this kind of interesting conflict of characters all within himself. And I really enjoyed that.
No, he was great. I mean, and just like to add a little bit more praise to the show, because I do want to talk about the things I really liked about it. And it was brave. Like, because they made us fall in love with all of these characters, and then we all remember episode 5. That was bold. I mean, that was some Game of Thrones level shit, and you don't really see that in Star Wars very often. I mean, how many times did they freaking bring back Palpatine? Like, they don't kill off their characters.
It was a shocking moment, because it was also like, I loved how they had like some red shirts there, like Jedis in the background that were just like wandering around, that you're like, yeah, they're gonna die. But then
we never met them, so they're dead.
Yeah, they're dead. But then others start dying. You're like, wait, what's happening?
Oh my God.
Why are you killing? No, you can't kill that person.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. My feeling about it. I don't know if it has to have a season 2 so much as possibly carry on the story of the characters of Osha, May, and Kamir. And that doesn't have to be Acolyte. That could be something else.
Oh, I like that. That would be really cool.
I do hope we see them again in some way.
Yeah.
Again, I think they expanded the concept of the Star Wars universe in a nice way. The expanded on the dyad, expanded on the sense of what different sects use the Force in different ways.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like. Again, when that kind of popped up in Clone Wars with the witches of Dathomir, I was a little against it. I was like, really, witches? Like, can we get away from King Arthur's
practical magic-esque?
yeah. But as their story unfolded, I realized, it makes sense that different cultures would take the Force in and express it in different ways. And then I was like, okay, I get it. I'm on board.
1000%. No, I fully agree. And I think that that's where maybe some of the like true, non-hateful criticism of the show is getting drowned out is by people who are being hateful, is that they presented all of these really exciting themes, but none of them totally chased to the end. And you're left with so many questions. And I was craving more story. I was really looking forward to season 2. But I hope you're right. I hope they have other plans for these characters and these like threads that they've kind of started here to take us in other directions in that kind of era of the Star Wars universe, because I would love to see what was their story? Like,
yes.
I want it.
Where did they go? Yeah, there's so much to ask about. Do they just die by using the Force too hard? Do they?
But then
Lego
where did they
Luke
come
Skywalker?
from? Yeah, I did Lego Luke Skywalker and create them. All of it. I think that would be my like constructive criticism, is that I felt like I was just wanting for so much more than I got by the end of it. But it's not a skip. It's I think everyone needs to watch it. It's a force it for sure.
Yeah.
What was your okay? I want to do the fun stuff. What was your favorite Star Wars moment?
Okay, this is nuts, but this has stayed with me. To me, the most Star Wars moment was when she was in the prisoner ship and it was crashing, and they cut to the guy with the box eyes, like a Matchbox car with eyes, and it was this weird head with small eyes. I was like, what is that? And to me, anytime you just cut to a character that you never see again, and you're just like, who the hell is that, and what's his story? That's a Star Wars moment. And
I thought you were going to say
the
when
next
there was
question, that's the action figure I want.
That's the action figure. I thought you were going to say when there was fire in space, but that's a way better answer.
Yes.
That's so good. Mine's a little darker. There's that scene in, I can't recall if it's actually at the end of episode 4, but it's when Quimir silently falls from the trees. We were talking about this the other day offline, but that one, was it Kofar where the battle was happening? I think that's where.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Well, you can fact check us on Twitter because Lord knows you probably will. That was such a classic Star Wars moment for me because it was the like,
yes,
it's happening. Like, it was so emblematic of like Rogue One when the red lightsaber ignites in the hallway and Darth is like coming down. Like, it was that kind of intensity. That's just like the evil has descended and it has arrived. And like, how are the heroes going to address that? That was one of the most Star Wars moments for me. That was so badass. He literally silently falls out of the sky. So we have a lot of good things to say about the Acolyte, but we also have, our
we have some
feedback.
thoughts about it.
Not that it'll ever be heard, but that's okay. Well, we need to talk about the future.
Yes, we have to talk about the future, which is Skeleton Crew coming out, I want to say December 3rd in 2024.
What are you most excited about?
I don't know yet what I'm most excited for. I think I've been trying to not get too wrapped up into anticipation. I really like the idea that it's some kids lost in space getting caught up in some kind of probably criminal activity. It seems like it's going to have like a one-eyed Willy of their own with the robot with the peg leg. Who stars in this? I forget his name.
I think Jude Law.
Yeah, Jude Law.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say this is the thing that drives me nuts because they release a little PR tidbit like the creator wanted to create a new kind of Jedi, and Dave Filoni was like, I'm all for it. Let's see what that does. It's like, don't tell me that. Because now I'm going to just go, we're all going to go in thinking that Jude Law is some kind of Jedi. And if people don't like it, here's the thing. People are not going to like it. Some jackass somewhere is not going to like it. And everyone's going to complain about it. Stop doing that, Star Wars PR and Star Wars marketing. Don't try to hype. Don't try to make fetch happen, okay?
It's never going to happen.
The hype will happen on its own. Just give us, like, the story tidbits we need to be interested. 5, 6 kids roam out in space alone. They run into a criminal enterprise. What's going to happen? Goonies in space. I'm fine with that. Good. Okay.
Oh, my God. I hope that's what it is. That's a great tagline. That's exactly what I want out of this.
I hope that's what it is. I agree.
No, Goonies in space. That's so good. Well, that's so good. I really hope that's what it is.
Since it was announced, people have been calling.
Okay, I've missed that then. Okay. Yeah. You could have taken credit, but I would have been none the wiser.
Goonies in space.
I have high hopes for it because it's Kennedy, Favreau, and Filoni behind it.
Yep.
So I have really high hopes. But we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the idea of the premise, and already there's a little bit of backlash on. Oh, it looks like suburbia in space. Here's the thing: space is going to have suburbia.
Yeah.
Space is going to have, like, we spend a lot of times in the far reaches of the galaxy, you know, on the planets that aren't as populated, aren't as rich. We spend a little time in the richer planets where it's super crowded. Like, everyone in Star Wars looks like they have a side hustle that they depend on.
Yes.
So it will be interesting to see a different, like, more of a pastoral life of, like, hey, we go to school and we run around at night.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm intrigued.
I got fired up on that. Sorry.
Yeah, you did. No, I like it.
So that's our look back at 2024.
Yeah. Thank you to Brown Leader for, inspiring this podcast. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I agree with him. It is good to expand the universe, and I like seeing it, and I do feel like they're on that track of expanding the universe. But what do you think? Like, what did you think of Lego Star Wars? What did you think of? Did we give Barriss and Morgan the short end of the stick? Is that how you say that? Is there something in their characters that we missed that you want to point out to us?
Yeah.
I'd say Acolyte, but I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I think I've read it all on Twitter. I get it. There are reasons not to like it, but
there's a lot of reasons too as well.
So reach out to us on any of the socials at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 and the letter U. And then next week we have Cam Ray is joining us.
Yeah.
He's a parody artist. He has a YouTube channel, loves Star Wars, and has a puppet Salacious Crumb named Bub. I think it's a different colors than Salacious Crumb. I'm just saying that's the type of creature. He calls it a monkey lizard.
It was a fun conversation.
But it's a great conversation with him.
Yeah. So tune in, and until then, may the Force be with you.
And with you.
We have fun times. Wow, can we not put in me saying we have fun times? That was the cold medicine 1,000%.
Nope, it's staying in.
Oh, God.
So last week, we talked to Brown Leader from the podcast Hyperspace Heroes.
Yeah, we
and
did.
One of the questions... What did you say?
I said, yeah, we did.
Oh, this is going to be a fun night.
This is not helpful. I'm going to shut up and mute myself. Go on. We force it in. Should we start with the Bad Batch? I know. Please. Oh, God. Wow. This is an evening. Should we start?
This is late night. What does Star Wars mean to you? Late night.
Late night edition.
Hi, this is Dave. And before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars.